जय गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे सीता राम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय शिला प्रभुपाद की जय
Oh,
और भक्त वृंद की जय हरे कृष्णा
your best ki jai, Mataji. So, Mataji, by your permission, would like to give you a brief introduction to our Matajis.
हरे कृष्णा
So, so it is on behalf of Kadiyadesh Vaishnavi Sangha, I would like to welcome you all for this our weekly Sangha. So, it is my good fortune I got chance to introduce Mataji. So today it's our good fortune we are having Her Grace Siddhi Lalasa Mataji with us. So Her Grace Siddhi Lalasa Mataji, she came to ISKCON in 1982 in Mauritius and is now based in Mumbai, India. She is a disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. She studied mostly under her spiritual master and other sannyasis, such as His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, but also under VIHE, teachers like His Grace Purijan Prabhu. She has been a book distributor, congregation, and youth preacher, publisher of temple magazines, and a teacher. She has taught for both the MI, Mayapur Institute, and VIHE, and for temples in Mauritius, Bombay, the US, and South Africa. She has compiled a book, Vedic Philosophy for Students, that was published by BBT, Bombay. And personally, I got chance to attend Mataji's classes during my stay in Bombay when I was uh, assisting uh, Priya Mataji for preaching with my other friends. So I got chance to go many a times in Mataji's room also. So I don't have words to glorify Mataji, how she dedicated her entire life in the mission of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga. So without taking much time, actually today we are very fortunate. We are going to, Mataji is going to guide us on a very important topic, which is Svadharma. So without taking much time, we all welcome Mataji by chanting one time Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and Vaishnav Pranam Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Mataji, over to you.
Hare Krishna. So I'm going to plug my this mic, and I won't be able to hear you. But whenever you have to speak, I will unplug it. I'm going to first do Mangalacharan, and then we'll recite one verse. I hope you have your Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to read from chapter 2. If you have your Bhagavad Gita, that'd be wonderful.
We are having.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 31. This is the verse that I had chosen. So if you have your Bhagavad Gita, that would be much, much easier for me. Because we're going to read the purport and study the purport. So you may repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudирayat Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Prabhupada Priya Shri Girirajaya Swamini Suvakti Shastra Vigyana Vidya Sala Shali Rara Rahibihari Vyam Bhakti Vischatmadayini Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Kinam Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarini Mukham karoti vachalam panghum langaiti girim yatkipatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to read from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 31, which I found very much appropriate for this topic. We wanted to discuss about the dharma specifically of the women. So this I found this particular section purport to be very much appropriate, so that we place properly what we mean by Svadharma. So we have like categorized that those who have a particular form, so they're known as tree, and therefore they have a dharma. So, but there is more than that, much more than that, and that's what we are going to analyze in this particular verse. So I found it very interesting that this verse 31 came right after, it's chapter 2, so from text 11 till 30, Krishna speaks about the soul. So if we remember very well, Arjuna was very upset. He didn't want to engage in this war. And he put up so many reasons why he doesn't want to fight. And one of the reasons, okay, let me just check it out. One of the reasons he put forward is that if we are going, okay, yes, so this is text 39. Kulakshaye pranashanti kula dharma sanatanaha dharme nashta kulam krishnam adharmo bhibhavatyutta. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. When, okay, adharma bhibhavat krishna pradushanti kula striyah strishu dushtashu vasneya jayate varna sankaraha. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted. And from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. Sankaro narakayeva kula gnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro hyesham lupto pindo daka kriyaha. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. Now, this is such an important point that Arjuna is putting forward. He's saying, Krishna, if we aren't going to engage in this war, what's going to happen? The elders will die. This is first thing. And when the elders will die, then the rest of the family will get into adharma. And what is the primary adharma? That the woman will become polluted because they are taken advantage of by corrupt men. And therefore, from these women will come unwanted progeny. So what is the importance of the woman is that her main function, according to these verses, according to Arjuna, her main function is to produce a good population. So if she becomes degraded, then there will be a bad population, and this bad population will not care about the family members, those who exist, and those who are the ancestors also. So it's like there is complete chaos from beginning till end, meaning from the present generation to the next generation and to those who are already gone. This is the gravity, the severity of the seriousness of protecting the woman, the chastity, protecting the chastity of the woman. And here we find that when Krishna starts to speak in text in chapter 2, he told Arjuna, what are you talking about? You're speaking like a great pandit. Kutastva kashmalam idam vishame samupasthitam anarya justam ashvargam akirti karam Arjuna. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, you're speaking like an anarya, one who doesn't know the value of life. So this is indeed very bewildering. How is it that Arjuna is presenting very, very important principles, dharmic principles, and Krishna is just brushing it aside and says, Anarya Jushtam. You're speaking like somebody who doesn't know, who's uncivilized. So, then what happens next? So then Krishna starts to speak. You have to excuse me. I need somebody's video on because I won't be able to speak unless I have someone to talk to. I'm sorry. It's still difficult for me. So then we find that Krishna starts, then he actually starts speaking. That's text 11. So text 11 to 30, Krishna just goes straight in and he starts speaking about the soul. Stop speaking about the woman, stop speaking of the ancestors, stop speaking about the families. You focus on one thing only. So what did he focus on? That within the body is the soul. So from text 11 to 30, he only spoke about the soul. And then suddenly jump from text 30, Krishna speaks text 31. So it's good that we analyze and try to understand what Krishna is talking about here. Swadharmam api चावेक्ष्यः न विकम्पितुम् अर्हसि धर्म्याधियुधश्रेयो न्यक्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. Hmm? So, I'm going to read now um, this purport, and I hope that you have your Bhagavad Gita with you. Out of the four orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration is called Kshatriya. Chat means herd. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Trayate, to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. When the tiger was killed, it would be offered the royal order of cremation. This system has been followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. Non-violence may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. In the religious law books, it is stated. So now here is the point that I actually want to discuss. So Prabhupada is focusing on Arjuna as a Kshatriya. And Krishna is using the word Svadharma. Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya, and therefore you must do your own work. You cannot do somebody else's work. And now, in the religious law books, it is stated, Ahaveshu mithonyonyam jigham shanto mahikshitaha yudhamana param shakya swargam yantya param mukhaha yagyeshu pashavo brahman hanyante satatam dvijeh samskrita kila mantrischa tepi swargam avapnuvam. In the battlefield, a king or kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving the heavenly planets after death, as the Brahmanas also attain the heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. Therefore, killing on the battlefield on religious principles and killing animals in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be acts of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved. The animal sacrificed gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form to another, and the Kshatriyas killed on the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifices. So I'm just going to draw the parallel because we wanted to speak about the duties of women. So we already saw from chapter 1, I read the verses, what Arjuna, quoting from Dharma Shastra, what is the importance of women? So the greatest importance of women is to produce a first class population. And that's why she must be protected from corrupted men. Because if the population is wrong, then not only the present generation suffers, But the future generation also will suffer, and the past generation, meaning my ancestor, they also suffer. So it's such a huge responsibility for the woman. So this is a dharma that brings same benefit as the Kshatriyas who are fighting on the battlefield, and it also same as the Brahmanas who perform sacrifices, they attain the heavenly planets. So we are equating the three. Each one of them needs to do their own dharma. The Kshatriyas, they do their dharma, they protect the citizen, and they get the heavenly planet. This is given in text 32. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets, meaning that they get a higher destination. The Kshatriyas get a higher destination. Same with the Brahmanas when they do their own work. The Brahmanas are not supposed to do the work of the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas are not meant to do the work of the Brahmanas. Arjuna wanted to do the work of the Brahmana. Be a renunciate, I'll just go, take sannyas, and that's good. And Krishna is saying, no, do your own work. So similarly, the woman, if she's doing her own work and doesn't compete and say, let me become a Kshatriya, do the work of the Kshatriya or the work of the Brahmana or whatever, she's not going to get any more benefit than doing her own work. So this is something that has to be clear. So this is what Krishna is explaining, Prabhupada is explaining in these two paragraphs. And now let's hear more. There are two kinds of Svadharmas, specific duties. So it doesn't stop there. It's not that, okay, here I am born in this world, and somehow uh, by uh, by my mentality, by type of work that I have done, what you call karma, I'm now in the position of a Kshatriya, I'm in position of a Brahmana, I'm in position of Vaishya, Shudra, or I'm in the female body, woman body. I could say this. So I'm born, and this is what I have inherited for myself. Now, Prabhupada is saying, but no, it doesn't stop there. There are two kinds of swadharmas, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. So, if I have taken a particular type of body, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or female body, it's a body, or I say body, and it has to work in a certain way. Just like now we are using this computer, it's a computer. It will do only the work of a computer. It's not going to do the work of an automobile, right? That's what it's designed for. It's not going to do the work of maybe my lamp here, or whatever, any other object. So the body is actually a machine. The soul, we just say from text 11 to 30, Krishna is speaking of the soul, and then he speaks of duty. So the soul who is placed in a particular body, and that body is bound by the laws of nature to do a specific function, and you can't go beyond this for the body. So Prabhupada is saying, I'll read it again, as long as one is not liberated, meaning the soul is locked in a particular type of body, and it can only function according to that body. It cannot function beyond that. So now, what are the functions? One has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles. So, if we want to become free from the soul who's locked in that particular type of body, then it is prescribed according to religious principles that we should perform the duties assigned. I'm just uh, tossing around this sentence, the duty. So, because we wanted to know what is the Svadharma. So, my first point is that it is not an absolute truth. Svadharma is not an absolute truth, it is a temporary truth. It is temporary because by the laws of my own doing, my own karma, I am now, the soul is now locked in a particular body. And therefore, it has to work within that parameters. It cannot go beyond. So just like a Kshatriya, when we're going to read more and more, Krishna will tell Arjuna, look, you're a Kshatriya. It's no use trying to imitate and pretend you are a sannyasi or a brahmana, and you will just put down your Gandiva bow and you will go in the forest and you will just going to chant Hare Krishna in the forest. You're a Kshatriya, you're not going to do that, right? So that's the main point here. So if we say that we are in female form, then yes, definitely we need to know what are our duties. What are the duties in the female form? And again, I repeat, Krishna has said to produce good progeny. Now, it's not that we just give birth to the child and then, okay, goodbye, you stay at home, somebody else will take care of you, bring you up, give you some scar. No, if you have given birth to the child, it means from A to Z, you have to see to the growth of the child. It's not somebody else's work, it is your own work. Because the mother, I heard one lecture, or rather, it's a conversation, Prabhupada speaking to, I don't remember who, but he's saying that a good mother will give birth to a good father. All right? A good mother will produce a good father, meaning that your child will become a good father. So, when there are good fathers in the world, then the women naturally will be happy. They'll be protected, they're taken care of, and they're happy. But if our sons become bad fathers, bad sons, everybody else is unhappy. So, yes, so this is a function, a duty that is assigned to the woman to nourish the child. Actually, we are studying the fourth canto. It's the story of King Prithu. So, King Prithu has been coronated as the emperor of the world. And then he found out that Mother Earth is not producing food. She is not producing food for the population. And she took the form of a cow and she was running away from the king because the king was chasing after her. And so Mother Earth, to begin with, she's a woman. So here she is, she's a woman. And on top of it, she takes the form of the cow. And she thought that the king will see, number one, she's a woman, and therefore you don't kill a woman. Second, she's a cow, you don't kill a cow. So there is very good reason why the king will let go of his chase after Mother Earth. But he didn't. He didn't. He said it doesn't matter whether you're man or woman or eunuch. If you do not do your duty, if you do not do your duty, you deserve to be killed. Very, very strong. This is chapter, I think it's 17, 4th canto, chapter 17. So, Mother Earth is, the Earth planet is female, she's a woman, and her primary duty is to feed. Is to feed. So now when you study, very interesting, I will recommend that you study this section. I have a Bhagavatam group, and only yesterday we had a class. So we will find that nourishment not only means the palmful of grains that you are eating and feeding to your children and your family. No, it also means the Vedic knowledge. So the mother is giving not only food honor, but is also giving knowledge. And it described that um, the sages, they made Brihaspati a calf in order to milk the knowledge from Mother Earth. So the question was, how do you, Mother Earth gives knowledge? So Prabhupada explained, it is a necessity of a human being to have, to hear something, to think about something. So the mother is not only nourishing the child through honor, but also nourishing the child through knowledge. So that's why we say the first teacher is the mother. So that's why Prabhupada said, a good mother will produce a good father, because your son will become a good father. And if he becomes a good father, naturally he will take care of the children, and therefore the population will be good. So this is, I'm just giving briefly some of the duties of the woman. I don't want to get into the, like the secondary things like cleanliness, keeping a little bit your house neat. I don't want to get into all this. I'm getting the primary thing of um, nourishing so that your child grows healthy physically, emotionally, mentally. These are the duties. And now, speaking of Svadharma, because this particular section is speaking of Varnashram Dharma. So, because that thing came up a lot, that am I only supposed to just sit and take care of the kids when I am well educated? So much money has been spent on me to get me a double, triple degree. And finally, I only sit at home and feed the kids. So this is something that, again, we need to understand. This is, I heard it from Prabhupada's conversations, and maybe in different places also it comes up, that the woman, she's assisting the husband. I'm just taking an ideal situation in Varnashram Dharma. I know there are many anomalies, but I'm just taking the perfect and proper situation in Varnashram Dharma. So if I'm going to go according to the Vedic rule, then we would say that usually a Brahmana will marry someone who is also Brahminical, who has that qualities. Like you won't find a woman who from a Kshatriya family. It's rare to find that she gets married to a Brahmana. You will find that Kshatriyas will marry Kshatriyas, right? That's the norm. So the woman, when she married, let's say a Brahmana, when she gets married to a Brahmana, naturally she will assist the husband in the Brahminical duties. So I'm putting aside that producing the children and all that stuff. Then I'm going into another aspect of her occupation, meaning that she will participate in the work of the husband also. She will assist him in those areas. And similarly, like let's say business people, it's natural that in the family where there is some business, the woman will also get involved, helping the husband in the business. What has become something like uh, a disturbance, I would say, is that when the man has some work, he works separate and the woman goes off to work somewhere else, work for some other people. That's what has created some discrepancy. But otherwise, the woman within the family setup itself will find her own uh, occupation in terms of her own inclination, her own varna, in other words. And she's satisfied. She knows it's the family business, or if my husband is before it used to be a Ayurveda, so the the woman will also be half doctor. you know when the husband is an Ayurvedic doctor, believe me, the wife of the Ayurvedic doctor will also be half doctor, maybe more. She will know how to cure the child. She will cure all the neighbors. No problem at all. It was such a natural setup, and she's happy. That's how she's satisfied. She's taking care of the children, of the household duties, and then whatever time she has, and she's like already groomed along with the husband, and she will just be part of his work also. I hope you realize what a disaster has happened when there's such separation in work between man, husband, and wife. Okay, so that is just to satisfy this point about as long as one is not liberated, meaning that I'm bound by the body, then one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles. Meaning, this, whatever I have just described, is according to the dharma in varnashram. This is what is prescribed. Yeah, and what will be the result, my dears? What will be the result? The soul will become liberated from that form that you may or may not like. I'm thinking, why am I in woman's body? So here Prabhupada is explaining, if you will do these duties, following the religious principles, you will achieve liberation from this form. Even the Kshatriya will go higher, the Brahmana will go higher, and the woman also will go higher. Where will you go? What is that higher now? Prabhupada is going to explain. When one is liberated, one's Svadharma, specific duty, becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and for the woman, and such duties are unavoidable. Now I'm saying you can't avoid it. You can't do somebody else's duty. That's what Krishna is pointing out to Arjuna. You cannot do somebody else's duty. You must do your own, even though there may be, you don't like it. And Krishna say, I don't like it. And sorry, Arjuna say, I don't like it. And Krishna say, you have to do it. Whether you like it or not, you have to do it. Because by doing this, you will become purified. Svadharma is ordained by the Lord. Now just see. Svadharma is ordained by the Lord. And this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Varnasham Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Now I'm going to stop on this particular point now. Stepping stone. Excuse me. So here we are in Varnasham Dharma. And let's say we are a group here of women, not women, souls bound in female forms. All right. So this is where this particular group of souls are. And Prabhupada is explaining that this Varnasham Dharma, Stri Dharma, in this Varnasham Dharma is a stepping stone. Maybe you're here, you're going to go higher. What is that higher? It is the spiritual life. So, stepping stone, I'll give you one more secret. I hope that all of you have studied the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. I hope all of you have studied. This is a very, very important section. The introduction. Prabhupada explained what is Dharma. He said that Dharma means to be a servant. I didn't know this before I read Prabhupada's book. I didn't know that Dharma means to be a servant. And he explained, he says, everybody's serving somebody. He says, like the wife is serving the family, the husband is serving the wife and the family, and there is the shopkeeper is serving the customers, the government is serving the people. So everybody is serving somebody. So it is the dharma of the soul is to serve. And the woman, she has a natural inclination to serve. So who can be closest to the dharma than the woman? The woman, you put her anywhere, she will be ready to serve. And believe me, ladies, that's why people like to employ women. Because the woman is a good servant. She will work hard, sincerely, usually, because the soul likes to serve. She's submissive, right? That's why a man marries a woman and not another man. Because these two specific qualities, she's submissive and she serves. These are spiritual qualities. Service attitude and submissiveness. These are the most important spiritual quality. So the woman who is able to accept her duty with that mood, her varna, her dharma, this three dharma becomes a very, very strong stepping stone for her to feed Krishna, to cook for Krishna, to dress Krishna, to bathe Krishna, to do all the austerities that you would do for your child, you would be ready to do it for Krishna. So from your ordinary dharma, which may be painful, it can be converted into something very spiritual. So the way Prabhupada has set up this movement is that he has given us so many types of activities, so many types of work that can make us move from varnashram dharma into the spiritual dharma, your real swadharma. So you can see how the gopis are dealing with Krishna, how Mother Yashoda is dealing with Krishna, how all the sakhis are playing with Krishna, enjoying with Krishna. So the spiritual world is a reflection of the material world. And for the woman, this stepping stone of Sri Dharma can very easily turn into your eternal spiritual duties. And we call this the fine arts. In the spiritual realm, this is called the fine arts. And Krishna, you know who's Krishna? Krishna is the enjoyer of the fine arts. So this is a very, very important text here. So on the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Varnashram Dharma, a man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashram Dharma, or specific duties in terms of the specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of higher authorities serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. Yes, so this is not it's not such a simple topic. It's something that, we need to study in depth. But this is just a first presentation on this topic. That there is doing the duties in Varnashram Dharma, and from that Varnashram Dharma, it transforms into your real Swadharma, the Dharma of the soul proper. So this is something very, very deep, and it's only by studying Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, give your life to it, and gradually become revealed, actually what is our real dharma. But at least let's understand this point and not just get stuck on, in one particular stage of your evolution. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I just hope I could make some sense. I don't know.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for explaining us very nicely. And actually, Mataji, if you have time, so can we take one or two questions?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
So, Mataji, if anybody is having some question or doubts, please raise your hand so that we can unmute you. So Mataji, I am having one doubt, which sometimes we are facing during preaching to Matajis, as well as these question came to my Prabhu also. So as here it is mentioned, Mataji, Prabhupada, he is mentioned in his purport, as long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's Svadharma, specific duty. become spiritual and is not in the material body concept. So so here Prabhupada, he also mentioned we have to perform our specific duties. So as you mentioned, for us to produce first class progeny is our first dharma, being as ladies. So sometimes, Mataji, we are facing this question from KC practitioner, ki how do we raise our children in Krishna Bhakti? Because sometimes when they are seeing where when they are seeing our parent, they are performing this, and this is like our daily routine. So sometimes KC practitioner families, we are seeing it is very difficult. Means they are not able to, for them it is like a daily routine, and sometimes they are not getting that sincerity. Why Krishna consciousness is it's so needed. So how we can, this question we are facing many a times, Mataji, from KC practitioner families.
Yeah, so
How we can
education,
raise and
yeah. So education is most important. That's why there's school, right? That's why we have the Gurukul. So the Gurukul should be in your own home, meaning that you have, from the age of 5, Prahlad Maharaj has said, Kumar Acharit Pragyu, you have to teach. So if we don't, that's the system, isn't it?
And for girls,
there. Sorry?
Like for daughters, because mostly most of the Matajis, they are having daughters who are attending this.
No, what I mean is that it's not that you have to go. Gurukul means that at home, wherever it is, meaning that education must be given. When there is no education, then they're confused. They don't know. So a human being can be trained. And if we have devoted children, it means that they are already advanced from past life. They have already made a certain journey, and therefore they have taken birth in devotee families. So to have a serious study of Bhagavad Gita and all the scriptures are very important from the age 5. If they have become 50, you just let them run loose, and then after 12, 13, 15, you're trying to catch them and teach them something. What will they learn? Right? Education starts from the age of 5. So 100% you have to teach them Bhagavad Gita and everything of scripture. Beside the usual prayers, the usual rituals. It's not sufficient only to give them the rituals. They need to study. When I'm speaking of study, it's not like a time pass. Once a week you go in a Sunday school. No, it has to be an actual study. It's very serious. We can't take Krishna consciousness as a Sunday school program. I mean, if you really want genuine people, I guess